How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is PSReady, my channel all about PlayStation, and this is my weekly PlayStation news update that I do 3 times a week. If you want to stay up to date on everything PlayStation, get subscribed, set your notifications to all. That's it for the YouTube stuff. In today's video, I've got 3 news stories for you guys. The first one is that Astro Bot might have teased the PS5 Pro, but I'm not so sure. The second news story is that PlayStation just announced its new peripheral, and there is a ton of controversy around that. And the third news story is I've got a physical game pickup update for you guys, and I want to talk about what I've been playing over the weekend because I feel like it's a kind of slept on PS5 exclusive. So let's jump into this first news story here. All right, I gotta admit, I was pretty disappointed with that last State of Play. I saw a great article over on Push Square that said PlayStation is kind of ignoring the people who built it up, and I completely agree. I understand the sentiment that like you don't want to announce games too early, right? Like games aren't coming out in fiscal year 2024, so that means like before March of next year, we're not going to get anything big from Naughty Dog, Santa Monica Studio, Insomniac, Sucker Punch, you know, the big heavy hitters that Sony has silently working away on multiple games. Naughty Dog is working on The Last of Us Part 3 for sure. I'm assuming that's going to be the last of The Last of Us for a while because Neil Druckmann has been doing a ton of interviews and he is adamant that they will not be known as The Last of Us Studio forever. Someone is working on a new Uncharted game. Ghost of Tsushima 2 is definitely in the works. They're going to probably try and get that out with the movie. Santa Monica Studio most likely is working on 2 games in tandem. One is the new Cory Barlog game, which is allegedly a space game. Also God of War 3, for example. There's a lot going on in the first party that we don't know about. And again, I get the sentiment that like announcing things too early sucks, but it's been too long. I'm sorry. They need to let us know what these studios are working on. And it's very clear because 50% of the people who have PlayStation 4s have not upgraded to the PlayStation 5. The easiest way to get them to do that is to get them excited for what's coming from the first party. But the one shining ray of hope is, of course, Astro Bot. I loved that trailer. I thought it was amazing seeing him go through all these different PlayStation worlds and meet PlayStation characters from some obscure games, right? Like Journey. I did not expect to see the little Journey guy show up as an Astro Bot. Of course, God of War. It was cool seeing Astro Bot try to lift the Leviathan axe. That was really cute and funny. Nathan Drake was a little Astro Bot, which is kind of weird considering, like, mild spoilers for the end of Uncharted 4. You play the epilogue as Cassie Drake, his daughter, and I gotta be real, I prefer them reboot Uncharted and keep Nathan Drake as the main character. Just give us like a new version of the game that kind of goes back to the beginning and then works its way up from there. Because, you know, the whole reason Uncharted was made was to be different from Tomb Raider. And it's like, if you're playing as 20-something Cassie Drake, at that point, it's just Naughty Dog's legitimate take on Tomb Raider. I don't know. I grew up playing as Nathan Drake. I'd still like to play as him. I liked having him as sort of like a role model character in middle and high school. And it would really suck if we lost that character for just making it Tomb Raider with better graphics and better gameplay, right? Like, am I crazy there? Am I wrong? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. Since the State of Play, there's been a lot of news coming out about Astro Bot. I guess it's going to have over 80 levels. They say it's about 4 times the length of Astro Bot Rescue Mission. The reason they're calling it Astro Bot is that it's kind of like a re-beginning for the series because the first game was on PSVR. The second game is just a small pack-in with your PlayStation 5 that you can clean up all the trophies for in like 5 hours. And I like Astro Bot. I think he's a much better mascot for Sony than Sackboy, and seeing the Astro Bot characters kind of rebuilt as first-party studio characters, it's very clear that Sony sees Sackboy as retired and Astro Bot as their new mascot. I'm totally on board with that. But there's one part of that over 3-minute trailer that's really throwing people off. There's a part where a PS5 sort of comes out of the ground and it's all lit up with neon lights. It's of course hard to see because it's set during a nighttime scene, and people are convinced that that is the PS5 Pro. I gotta be honest, I saw that part of the trailer and I looked at it and I was like, is that a Pro? And I personally am like 95% certain that that's just a PS5 Slim with no plates attached to it. Every journalist out there has been tweeting that picture saying, is this the PS5 Pro? And then people immediately respond and say, no, it looks like a PS5 with no plates. To me, it is a PS5 with no plates. I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. I've like scrutinized this image much more than I feel like I would have in any other situation. And it's just funny, right? Like there's such a weird hate boner for the PlayStation 5 when it comes to the press. They of course want every game coming day and date to PC. They don't want to buy a PlayStation 5. They showed that they don't care about the platform when they're presented with what is to me pretty obviously just a regular PlayStation 5 with no plates on it. And then they go, is this the PS5 Pro? So then they can turn around when it's revealed and say that no one should buy it because Sony hasn't justified being interested in buying one in the first place. I don't know. But if this is the PS5 PS5 Pro, I'm personally very into this look. It does look a little bit slimmed down from even the PS5, which is more evidence that it's just a PS5 Slim with no plates. But if they can get a PS5 Pro in a similar size chassis of the regular PS5, I think that'd be great. But the one thing that's making me want this to be a PS5 Pro is that it's black. You guys know, if you've been watching the channel for a while, I don't like the move that Sony made, making everything white this generation. The PS5, the PS5 Slim, the DualSense Edge, the regular DualSense you get with the console, the Pulse headsets, everything, like the PSVR 2, it's all this white and like black trim sort of look, and it's nice. I just like having everything I can possibly get in black, like everything. I just like matte black, glossy black, whatever, just make everything electronics wise, anything I can buy black. That would also be a really cool way to differentiate it from the PlayStation 5, because you need it to look different, right? Like us, we know what a PS5 Pro is going to look like. We know what we're going to the store for, but you know, the layman, the person who buys FIFA and I don't know, Madden and Call of Duty every year, and that's their big game purchases of the year, they need a visual differentiator to be able to understand that this is an upgraded console. And if you want proof of that, look at what happened to the Wii U. So Nintendo made that thing. It just looks like an attachment for the Wii because it came in white, and everyone thought it was an attachment for the Wii, and nobody bought that machine. They need to capture those people more than they need to capture us, because we're going to go out of our way to figure out what the newest best thing looks like. The only reason I'm 95% sure that extra 5% is because this is an Astro Bot. That would be a really cool way to tease the PS5 Pro, and there's really no reason not to tease it in that way, because every spec of this console has leaked. Like literally everything about the console is leaked except for what it's going to look like. And it's all coming from legitimate sources like Moore's Law is Dead and Digital Foundry, so people know this thing exists. That's a cool way to tease it for hardcore users who will actually notice it, whereas again, the normal person wouldn't. So yeah, that's why I'm just like not saying 100% for certain that it is just a PS5 Slim with no plates. But of course, again, what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Am I just being overly cautious here, or do you think it's a PS5 Pro? I was honestly shocked at how many people messaged me on the PSN and left comments asking if I saw the PlayStation 5 Pro in the trailer, and I don't know. At my first glance, I just thought it was a PS5 Slim with no plates, but maybe I'm crazy. That brings us to the second news story here, which is about the new peripheral for the PlayStation VR 2 that Sony just officially announced. We talked about this on Friday a little bit, but it wasn't announced yet. It was just the specs of it had been released. Now Sony has fully revealed this thing. It's a straight up adapter for the PSVR 2, and as excited as I am to be able to get more use out of that headset than the limited use the PS5 offers, I think it's a little bit rushed and not as good as it could be. It's a $60 adapter that'll allow you to use your PlayStation VR 2 with Steam games. Sony is really pushing that connection with Steam. In their cool image, there's like a stark white PC connected to a white monitor, and a PSVR 2 is in front of it with the Sense controllers, and it's on a completely white desk in a completely white room. On the monitor is Half-Life Alyx. Now, if you've only played PSVR, you've never dabbled in PC VR, nothing you will ever play on the PlayStation 5 comes close to what Valve did with Half-Life Alyx. That game feels like what I wanted out of VR when I first tried it out. It's a full-on first-person shooter campaign. It feels really good to play. The graphics are incredible. It runs extremely well, and it was nice to get from Valve. Obviously, the user base is extremely limited because it's only on PC, but that is the first game I think I will play when I pick up this adapter, because it's really just that good, and I haven't played it since it came out in 2020. But once you get past that cool factor, there are some problems that crop up. First of all, you're not getting a lot of the feature set of the PSVR 2. They say it was specifically developed for the PlayStation 5, and that's the reasoning. We're going to talk about why that's slightly BS in a second, but the features you're losing are adaptive triggers and haptic feedback. The controllers will still vibrate in games, but they're not going to have those great Sense controller features that make the PSVR 2 so much better, at least in my opinion, than all of the competition, including the MetaQuest 3 and the Valve Index headset, which to be fair is a little bit older at this point. You are going to get touch sensing, so like when you put your thumb on the thumbstick or you wrap your fingers around the controller, it's going to be able to like map your fingers out, which is really cool. This touch controllers that Oculus has, I don't think could do that, or at least the ones I have from the Oculus Quest 2, they can't do that. But then when you use the headset, one of the best features is the foveated rendering mixed with eye tracking. So if you don't know what that is, basically it's rendering what you're looking at full resolution, and then everything around your peripheral vision is lower resolution. So that helps keep the frame rate up and keeps the resolution of what you're looking at as crisp as possible. It works awesome. So that feature is coming over to PC with the PSVR 2, but it loses the eye tracking. So it's gonna probably be head tracked. So wherever you're aiming your head is going to be full resolution, and everything outside of that field of vision will be lower resolution. I don't think that's going to work as well as the foveated rendering we have on PlayStation 5. You're also losing HDR support, whatever, I don't really care, but this is just really funny because I remember when just last week we were seeing these meetings with Herman Hulst and the other new CEO. Herman Hulst said their goal is to get PC players who want to play the big first party games to migrate over to the PlayStation 5 to be able to play them first. And honestly, as someone who plays on both hardware, I don't think PC players are going to do it, but I think that's a mistake on their part because it's not really worth waiting for the PC ports. PlayStation games look really good, they run really good, they're not buggy, you can play the vast majority of the first party stuff at 60 FPS at higher resolution so far in this generation. There's not really an urge for me to play them later on PC. I mean, all the games that have come out this gen, I've played on PS5 first, and I'll just continue to do that as long as Sony keeps up their high bar of quality. But if you don't know that because you've never tried it, I guess it wouldn't be enough to really push you over. But if you're someone who goes out and picks up a PSVR 2 to use with your PC, it is $100 off right now for days of play, and then you just know, right, that it's missing features that it could be taking advantage of if you just had a PlayStation 5. That could be enough to maybe push people to go out and pick up a PS5 console. And that's not that crazy because, you know, you're already spending what, $450 with the discount on the headset. That's a not like insignificant amount of money. Theoretically, you have a little bit of disposable income. What's another $500, especially if it comes with a game? And also, if you subscribe to PS Plus Premium right now, you get 6 extra free VR games right out of the gate, and most of them are good. So they're kind of positioning this in a way to make it more enticing for people who are planning on buying a PSVR 2 and this adapter for their PC to maybe go out and pick up a PlayStation 5, which is also on sale right now for $50 off. Now, if you want to pick up one of these adapters, which I definitely am, they're going on sale on August 7th. Again, they're going to be $59. I would say buy it at launch if you have like any inkling of buying this thing, because as we've seen with the stick modules for the DualSense Edge, as we've seen with the Pulse Explorer, the Pulse Elite, they make like 15 of these things and then they say, wow, the demand is much higher than we thought. So they spend months and months and months making much more of them. Then eventually they're all available whenever people want them, but they lose a lot of the people, I think, who would traditionally pick these things up pretty close to launch because they sell out so quick. So if you want one of these things, make sure you get in with that early buy pre-order so you can just make sure you get it and don't have to wait months for them to finally restock it. Anyway, that brings us to the third news story on today's list, which is the physical game pickup and also what I've been playing recently. You guys know, maybe I'm really into cars in real life and racing games. I, of course, cannot afford to drive all the cars I want, and I can't fit them in my driveway. Right now, I'm driving a 2020 Dodge Challenger. That is my baby. I try to keep as few miles on it as possible. And I have a 2012 Jeep Wrangler. That's my daily. It's lifted. It's got a bunch of off-road stuff because I like going off-roading up in the northern parts of Michigan when I have time. But you know, I want to drive other cars, and the best way to do that is through racing games, which I'm absolutely obsessed with. So I fixed some digital purchases that I already had, and I also bought a new game. First up, I picked up Need for Speed Unbound. I mentioned that I was playing this on PC a couple weeks ago, and the multiplayer is completely dead on PC, and I'm actually into the multiplayer in this game, and it was only $20 brand new on Amazon, so I was like, screw it, I'm gonna grab this for PlayStation 5. It only takes up around 30 gigabytes. Criterion said they're supporting this game for a whole nother year. They've got a couple battle passes, they've got some car packs and everything like that. People don't like the anime effects in this game. I'm fine with those. What I don't like is the soundtrack. I mute it immediately every time I start this game, and I just fire up Apple Music and play my own music. They went for more like rap and hip hop. I don't listen to a lot of rap and hip hop. I like emo music and country. So yeah, that's pretty much what I listen to when I play Need for Speed, but it's a cool little box art. You got the anime stuff all over the box. And what car is this? Oh, it's A$AP Rocky's BMW. You get this in the game for doing his showdowns. He's a main character. That's another weird part of the game, if you ask me. But yeah, in the box, it's pretty simple. It's nothing like what you get from the first party or Square Enix. You just just get the disc, and then you get an ad for EA Play, something I'll never subscribe to because I don't like subscription services. But yeah, the whole game is on the disc as far as I can tell. There are a lot of patches for it because this is like a light live service game, but if you pick this up, it'll install the whole 34 gigabyte game, and you can at least play the launch model if, I don't know, the online services for Sony go down forever. You'll be able to play at least the launch version of Need for Speed Unbound. It plays pretty good. I enjoy this game quite a bit. It's definitely arcadey, like it's built around drifting and everything like that. And as far as Criterion's return to Need for Speed, I think they did a good job with this game. It's not as good, I would say, as Heat. I think Heat was like a high point for the modern Need for Speed era, but you know, Unbound's a good step in the right direction. Hopefully the Battlefield development doesn't take them away from a new one for too long. And then the second game I picked up is EA Sports WRC. Apparently when this game came out, it was pretty rough, but they've done a lot of patchwork on it, and I watched some videos and it looks like they've completely fixed it up. Now, unfortunately, there's like a bite mark in it or something, even though it was brand new. I was able to get it for 20 bucks, so it sucks that I have a little blemish on it, but the reason I picked this up, the reason I picked this up is I've never paid attention to the WRC franchise, but it's a new franchise now because EA picked up Codemasters, I think last year, and they canceled the Dirt series, obviously, because they want that license. They want that WRC World Rally Championship license. And then if you look in the bottom right corner here, you can see that it's from the makers of Dirt Rally 2.0. So this does have, driving-wise, some legitimate updates over Dirt Rally 2.0, which made it enticing to me. Also, again, 20 bucks. It's a pretty bare bones package, just like Need for Speed Unbound. You get the disc, which is, you know, matte printed. It's very low res. Of course, they've got to have the EA Play advertisement in there, which again, I don't really care about, but I'm kind of excited to give this game more of a try. But the reason I haven't really tried it out yet is because I don't know what made me do this. I decided to play Gran Turismo 7. I bought the game when I did my PSVR 2 review video because the game has such great PSVR 2 implementation. I'm crazy for sleeping on this game. It is phenomenal. Like, I'd give this a 10 out of 10. I spent the entire weekend playing through all the license tests. A lot of them are difficult, really difficult. You only need a bronze to actually advance forward, but I'm getting all gold on them. I have gold on the first 4. I'm on the supers now, and I've done the first 2 of those. There's 10 in each license that you can get, so I have 8 more to go, and the super one is kicking my ass. Like, doing the other ones was fine because it's a lot of braking and curving challenges, but now I'm on a racetrack with a Lamborghini, and I'm like, this is totally different. So I'm hoping to beat the license test this week before I go to LA for Summer Games Fest because I want to get that gold trophy. I was looking through the trophies for GT7. I'm pretty sure I can platinum it, but there's just so much to do. I guess the campaign in this one is the menus. You go to the GT Cafe and they have themed menus where you have to take specific cars through specific races. You get those cars at the end of them. You earn credits. There was a lot of controversy when the game came out because of the cost of cars in it. The producer of the game said that he wanted it to be representative of how much the cars cost in real life. Obviously, people weren't buying that because there was so many microtransactions ready to go, and some cars could cost up to 200 bucks. They spent a while rebuilding the economy. There are a lot of glitches now to earn millions of credits in just a couple of hours, and they've added a ton of tracks. They've added a ton of cars. They just added sport mode, so the like mode that was missing at launch, it's in the game now. So if you played this at launch, you felt like it was a little light on content, I would suggest picking it up right now in the Days of Play sale, because me, as someone who's played a lot of Forza Horizon and a lot of Need for Speed and a lot of Assetto Corsa, this game is possibly the best driving, even on a controller. I'm not even using the racing wheel. It just feels so good to drive in this game. The sounds of the engines are also just legitimately perfect. This one has a lot of rebuilt cars. There's not a lot of older cars in it that they're saying that are like new so that they can boost the number of cars. And as someone who played Forza Motorsport at launch, I mean, compared to this, that game's just a joke. I don't really think Microsoft knew what they were doing with that, and that seems like such a missed opportunity because before Gran Turismo 7, the series was kind of at its lowest point. No one really liked GT6. No one really was into GT Sport. Those were 2 of the lowest selling entries in the series, and now they've got the best one I think they've made since probably GT4, which I'm also playing on my Steam Deck, and I can't get enough of it. I can't wait to get into the online racing. I can't wait to start collecting some more supercars. I had the game at the point where they gave everyone 1,000,000 credits, so I was able to pick up a really nice Shelby. I've been driving that. I also picked up a Charger Hellcat, I want to say. I didn't see a Dodge Challenger in the store, which sucks because I always like getting my car that I drive in the game, but hopefully it comes up in the rotation or something like that. But yeah, if you're into GT7 and you want to play some multiplayer, you can add me on the PSN. I accept everyone from this channel who adds me. My PSN name is randomhero1270, and yeah, if you want to play some GT7, just add me on the PSN and send me a message and I'll hop in with you. But it's going to take me a minute to get enough cars to be competitive. But yeah, if you've never played this game, highly recommend it. It's definitely worth checking out. I'm going to buy that physically. I bought it digitally while we were recording the PSVR 2 video because it didn't have a demo where I could do the VR mode. I want that game physically. I love the art, and it's just one that I really just want to own. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you today. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.